Hello, we are back. We got some good tunes too today. Okay, so I'm going to go and call in Jess. Hello.
Hello, friend.
Hey,
I love this
friend.
song.
Okay, hair. It's looking good.
Thanks.
Yes.
I really love the top up. I think that's like kind of like the. I feel like the puff is normally like my look, like my go-to kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like that's jazz.
Yeah,
But then
it's
sometimes
true.
I like my hair down, even though
A little puffing it down.
it be getting a little dry.
No, it's good. Looks moisturized. I love it. Okay, so I want to send it to some people. Wow, we're getting in this swing of things again.
Yeah, this song was like giving all the things you need to give.
For real.
All right. Let's send it to a couple people. How have you been doing now? How are things?
I've been good. It's been a good weekend. Don't have my tea with me. Forgot about
I
it.
know. I just have some coconut water.
Oh my gosh. You drink coconut water by itself?
Yeah.
I
Hey,
can
Joe. I like it. I think it is acquired, but I like it. It's great. It's very hydrating. All the things.
I feel you.
Joe, we're playing the song, man.
We put a little bit
It's
louder.
super fantastic. I even have a coaster.
Oh, it's cute. Oh, little Mickey Mouse.
Did you see the music video?
I'm watching it now. I did see it
Oh.
before, but I put that one on just because.
Wait, you never saw it?
No, I have watched it. Yeah, I've watched
Oh.
it before. I put this one on now just because it's like a vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I thought you like never saw it before this moment, because that I saw it like first, I think. I don't remember. I was gonna say I saw it first yesterday, but that's not true. I saw it with my family yesterday. I don't remember when I first saw it. Was like maybe the day before. I mean, it just came out this week, so.
Yeah. You're not late. Don't worry. You're not late.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Miss Barb. So good to see you. Or not see you, but see still on notification.
Join.
Yes, it's the first Let's Unpack for the season and for the year, so.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we can get started. That's a good little intro of the song.
Yeah.
But cool. Alrighty. So hi there. I'm Sarah.
Yes.
And this is our first one of the season, first Sunday talk series of the season. Let's Unpack.
Yes. Let's Unpack. Everything it's all about creativity, life, and inspiration. So we're here to really get it on.
Yes. And as always, before we do get started, we just want to set the stage and make sure that everyone is having, a good conversation, but a safe community space for our audience to share their ideas in the comments with love, and keep it very positive. So yes, so
you can get kicked out if you want. But it's really loud. We'll try to. Well, you'll always be able to listen to afterwards. These are always recorded. But thank you for joining us. Make sure that, we've done our little intro. Make sure you grab your tea, your coconut water, your bottled water, any beverage that you have. And like, let's get it to celebrate week 1 of Distant Connections, of our collabs.
Oh, yes. So season 3, we're back. We are coming out with a lot of new fun initiatives and just a lot more great collabs coming down the pipeline. So this time around, we kicked it off with our own collab, and the the theme for this season was how has culture impacted our creative journeys. So that is what we answered in our collab. And before we get into that, we definitely do want to go ahead and just, unpack and discuss what's been going on in our lives,
Yeah.
How about
Like this
you?
week.
What's been in Jazz's world this week?
So this week, my parents celebrated their 25th anniversary. They went out of town because of the pandemic. So I was with my little sister all alone, and all I could think about is, my parents, like, I have no business being a parent right now. Like, it's too much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I also started a freelance role with Free the Work, which is really exciting, helping them co-produce an event that's coming up. So it's been a really busy week, but I'm feeling good about everything.
Yeah, how's that going? We haven't actually talked deeply into that, but are you liking it so far?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
going very well. I think it's just trying to balance that among everything else is like, and then
yeah,
freelance world is nice when it's consistent, but I also just want like some regular stability, like,
yeah.
like I think that's what I need. That's what I would love. I appreciate that. So, but I'm excited. I like it. I like the people that I'm working with. Free to Work is a platform that's designed to uplift and support like underrepresented talent, specifically in like the ad world, in film and television, or television and film. And so working with a lot of like, people of color, love to see it,
Yes.
and really like doing the work that needs to be done so that we're putting all of these underrepresented creators in the right spaces and creating that equity. So they have a talent directory, they have job boards, check them out. They're really, really, really great.
Yes, I'm excited. And so the event that you're hosting, is it for the public? Like, can I have
No, it is a closed event. Sorry. It's a closed event,
I'd be there.
specifically for like for leadership,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Nice.
and kind of like the role that they play in hiring these underrepresented directors,
Yeah.
etc., other like production staff. So it's like a closed forum.
Level.
Going to be really helping them out,
Love
get
that.
things done. But how about you? How's your week been? What you been going on with the week?
Ooh, this week has been very busy. I made a big life decision. Made a big life decision to um, leave my, I guess, corporate, non-corporate job in manufacturing, and really excited for the future because I'm going into full-time, creative mode. So I'm excited. Definitely have some smaller projects lined up, but yeah, definitely also ready for some stability in the creative field. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh my
ready.
gosh, come on over.
I'm ready
Come
for
on
it.
over. That's so exciting. And that's such a big transition, which I can imagine could be a little bit scary, but like I feel like it's where you're supposed to be.
It is definitely where I'm supposed to be. I think you know, there's always that fear of failure and all that kind of stuff, but you got to really just trust in yourself and be confident that you'll make it, and you are where you're supposed to be. And
Yeah.
it's just timing. So I think it was just the right time to make that big move. So um, definitely surprised some people, but yeah,
Yeah. Okay, okay.
good stuff.
Well, very good start off to our weeks. Lots of things, like we said, in the pipeline personally
Mhm.
and with Distant Connections. But let's kick off our
Mhm.
Unpack session. Today, I know we wanted to talk about kind of like what our topic is. Our topic is how culture is impacting our creative journeys, and so like what is culture, and then kind of maybe talking a little bit more about our own personal cultural backgrounds in our project.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I guess we can probably go into like how we define culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, start with that.
Yeah, I know. So with what I'll say is like I know when we were doing a lot of like prep work and research for getting started with this collaborate or with this season and the season topic, culture has kind of been defined as like the manifestations of human achievement, the kind of like actual like things that human beings are putting out and are doing in the world, whether that's like concept things or ideas or actual like art pieces or just like our customary practices, and how that is like specific to a people group or specific to like a nation or
Mhm.
just specific to like an organization of people. So that's kind of like just what like overall what culture is. I know two other things that we really got into was cultural dimensions, which is more of like an intercultural competency thing, and then human identities, like the big eight.
Mhm.
Did you want to chat a little bit about that?
Definitely. So what we've each season we also like to share just a little bit more in depth of like what we're really talking about, what all the collabs are all about, just to give you guys some insight. So cultural dimensions is like under that category of culture and how you can just get a little bit more insight of either your culture or cultures that are much different than yours, and just to understand like where people are coming from. So the four big ones that are present is their verses. So individualism versus collectivism. So individualism is, cultures more like the U.S. or even some parts of European cultures are very individualistic, like they independent. Some capitalist cultures are like that. And then collectivism is, like I guess both of our cultures, which we're going to talk about later,
Yeah.
that we've came from. But you can be a mix of both of these cultures, honestly. And
Yeah.
then another one is um, holistic versus analytic cognition, which is just the styles of like how you retain or take in information within a system. And then vertical versus horizontal, it's like power dynamics, I guess, like feudalistic kind of, environments, or something like the US where it's like more democratic, like what's that power structure looking like. And these all play into like a person's culture, how they see society. And then the last one is tightness versus looseness, which is a dimension of, how strict is it in the environment that you've grown up in. You know, some
Yeah.
people are just like, free, like we can do whatever we want. Other people, you got like a lot of, I guess, responsibilities, or maybe just the repercussions for actions. So those those four are like the big ones just to keep in mind. And yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to the identities, I know a lot of these are things that everyone is kind of, or mostly should be familiar with, whether that's like how old you are, your age, your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your socioeconomic status, or
Mhm.
your class, and like your ability, whether you're like able-bodied or you have a disability. And so I think a lot of these play a role in how society sees us, how culture views all of these different identities and kind of like the roles that they play in the world.
Mhm.
But I think all of this just in general and total just gives us an idea of the different ways that people can view culture. And so kind of like getting into that, um, both Sarah and I come from mixed cultural backgrounds. For me, my father is Jamaican, and my mother, she was born in the United States, but her mother was born in Costa Rica and her father was born in Puerto Rico. And so, like, obviously, all of those countries are Caribbean countries. And so I come from a very Caribbean background. And then both of my parents also, like, grew up in New York. And so, even like with where they grew up in New York City, they're used to moving around, they're used to being around a lot of other cultures as well. And so I think that idea of community and that idea of like collectivism is really ingrained in not just their cultures and how they were raised, but like the environments that they actually lived in and their like actual experiences.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think the same thing for me. I I was born in Italy, but I see my culture as Eritrean, which is where my dad is Eritrean fully, and my mom is Italian and Eritrean, but she also identifies with the Ethiopian culture, which they both lived in for majority of their life. So all of those cultures are pretty collectivist. I know there's some parts of Italy where it's more individualized, but I'd say as a majority, everybody seems to always love to be together and have that community aspect. It's ingrained in us. Yeah. So, but I think that um, because we both grew up in the US, some of that culture has impacted us in a way too, because it's very much individualized in the US. And so the way that we go about things are a little bit different than our parents too. So I think that
Yeah.
also plays a part.
And even like our parents are a little bit different, I'm sure, from their parents and
Yeah.
just kind of what the customs like practices were. My parents are, I want to say they're like Gen X, which is just up from millennials. So they're not that. And I say that they're like at the bottom of Gen X because my parents are both in their like mid 40s. They had me pretty young, and so I know even that just speaks a lot to like generational differences. And my even their parents also I think had them in their like mid 20s, so they're not that much older than them either. But they still have very different experiences with like upbringing and what they're used to, what their environment has been,
Hmm.
um, and how that I'm sure that differs a lot too from like us growing up in the United States versus like some of our parents and grandparents that don't have that
Yeah.
experience of growing up in the United States, um, and what those differences really are. I know for specifically speaking, our collaboration, No
Yes.
Cap,
Yes.
um, we really took our past, presence, and future and wanted to look at how culture has impacted all of those different areas, and kind of see the difference of like culture, the influence that culture has on art and the influence that art has on people, and in turn the influence that people have back on culture. And so kind of the way we broke it down was like looking at our moms, and we did a little Venn diagram and like what we really see that connects our moms, how they're different, how they're similar, the
Yeah.
same thing for our dads, and then using those kind of frameworks to really see what connects us, what's different about us, and then what do we get from our parents, like what can you see that's like directly tied back to like, oh, Jazz, I saw you got that from your mom, obviously.
Yeah.
Sarah, ooh, you got
Mm.
that from your dad, your dad's child, like you see
Yeah.
it so clear.
Yeah.
What were kind of like, let's chat about it, let's chat about what were some of those things that really connected our moms.
Yeah, I think the big one there was community and like even them being such a like a rock or a source of stability per se in their community.
Mm.
So we've seen that even like with your mom and how although she's moved a lot and you guys have moved a lot throughout your experience, like you've always had a community everywhere you've went, whether it's like military community or like even family certain parts of um, DC, Maryland, and all that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
like
family,
seeing,
friends for sure. That was like another little thing that I didn't really. I normally always mention it because it's
yeah,
something very specific to me. But my parents went into the military when I was born, and I grew up moving around all my life, and so I think the idea of making sure to find community in each place you go was something that was like taught to me from a very young age. Like, you know, not only like, you know, you want to find community, community is very important. Like, that's just something so deep in my soul. But be very careful with the friends in the community that you are building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think it's the same thing, because like my house, like back home is like the house of like gathering, and that's like something my mom and dad are like really proud of just having everybody come to our house for literally whatever, even if it's like really nothing to do with like our immediate family, but we always like hosting, like if it's a baby shower for somebody else, like, oh, like we have like the bigger house, like just do it at our house. We always want to like gather, and so I really have brought that on too, like if there's, I don't know, I just love being with people. I love being with
Yeah.
our friends, or just gathering people together. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's like, that's, that's our
that's what
mom.
both. Yeah.
And I know from our dads, something that we really had seen from our dads is like how important caring for others and being generous, and just being present, being there was like really foundational for them. And something that I know that, you know, has kind of like passed down onto us as well. Um, that's
Yeah,
My
definitely.
dad's always the one to be the one, like, you know, I will pay, I will be there, I will, you know, I think just being present, being there, quality time is like a love language for him.
Yeah.
And just making sure that you're there to care for people in the same way that you would want them to care for you. And I think that also just kind of speaks to community. Um, when we did a little interview, because I know we did a little interview for both of our parents,
Mhm.
something my dad talked a lot about from his experience living while he was still living in Jamaica was, um, the fact that community and like how you care for the people around you. If you're ever going through, I don't know, the community might be going through like a power outage or, um, a loss of some sort, and how a community really bands together to care for people and to make sure people are okay and make sure people feel supported was like, that's like the top priority. And I think that's something that he kind of saw was a little bit different from whenever he would like be in the States, is, you know, people would kind of be like looking out for themselves, which can be a bit of a culture shock if you're coming from a place where caring for people and caring for your community is really important, and that may not be the same priorities of another culture that you're living in, that you're going to be a part of.
Yeah, definitely. And I think between, like, one thing to share is like there's no like all culture is like diverse in their own ways, and like there's no like right way of doing things, like it's just a completely you know, different culture. So like the way that we grew up may have been different the way that you grew up, and it's, you know, to each his own. Like it's definitely, you know, beautiful, and not to discount anybody else's culture too. um, but I think something also like you did mention is like that's the same thing with um, like the Ethiopian culture that my family grew up in, and the one of the big things is like weddings, and so like the whole community, like all the neighbors, even people you don't even like really know, they all like chip in, um, and I think that's beautiful. It's just like everybody's gathering for, you know, the purpose of love, and like bringing I don't know, like good fortune into someone's new life together, which is pretty cool.
Love that. So we
Yeah.
had, for our moms, we had culture is community. For our dads, we had culture is care.
Yeah. For
For
ourselves.
us, yeah. How did
Yes.
that end up reflecting into our like our present?
Yes. So for our present, we had it like culture is beautiful. And it's just like the life that we live. It's, you know, we not to put like, what is it, like tinted rose colored glasses into
Yeah.
like our present, but it is like our perspective of how we view um, the world that we're creating, but also we're living in now. So some of our similarities is that we, like me and Jazz, are friends before we're just a connection partners. Like we are friends. We have like such a great like community there of girlfriends and you know, just like the kind of joy and happiness that we bring towards each other. It's beautiful. And then each of our own like differences is beautiful in its own ways. It's like me, I love like I guess Jazz said it's a green thumb. I love my plants. There's one back there. And like Jazz has, hey, Eddie. And Jazz has like dance and performance arts and all these kind of things that she's interested in. It's like that's what makes it beautiful. It's just our differences and similarities too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know a lot of like kind of like how you spoke to our friends, and even I know like faith has been something that's really important for us too, and really foundational from us, that you know I know we get from our parents, but we also have our own kind of relationships with that. I think that also just kind of speaks to how community and care is like such a beautiful thing, and how that's like so present in our lives. um, and we have very different like creative um, art forms and kind of creative practices, but I do think that they blend very nicely together, which is like why it kind of makes sense for us to like be partners on like so many different things. Like, you know, with our creativity, I like to produce, I like to kind of like organize, and I like to write. I do like to write. I do also kind of like to dance sometimes, and I'm really into music, and I know we're both pretty much into music. But I think that really complements like your kind of push for like the visual arts and like photography and design. And it definitely, it makes for very, yeah, it makes very nice things. But for our future, wow, like I think I think we do get some creativity from our parents. Like my mom specifically, she really likes to dance, and that's like what she wanted to be growing up. Like she wanted to be a professional dancer. And I've never thought about being a professional dancer, but I get that from my mom. And I know you even talked about like, you know, some photography, even maybe even some music that you gotten from your parents. But something I know for our futures is like we're really interested and invested in pursuing creativity as like a profession and as a career. And I think that's what makes like culture creative. Like that makes our future very creative. And that's something that, you know, that's not something necessarily that our parents may have thought, because that might not be like the stable thing to do, or just like in context to like how they were raised and how they were growing up, like that might not be something they even considered as an option.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think that also speaks to kind of our message of, you know, culture is a mirror. And I'll even read it out just to like make sure we're quoting each other right. But culture is a mirror of our past and will continue to evolve now and in the future. We, the people, have the power to move it forward and pave the way for generations to come. So, yeah, we definitely have gotten all these like amazing traits from our past, and we're bringing it into what we're doing now and in the future. We're making and paving our own path at the same time. It's like we're taking everything that we've learned, but making room for something new and something, you know, fresh. I think culture is always evolving and changing as time goes, and that's why culture never dies.
Never does. And I think, yeah, I mean, there's nothing I think more important than taking the lessons and all of the gems and wonderful experiences that you have been able to have and learn over time, and be able to create space for other people to have those same opportunities as you, and to even have better opportunities. And so I think that's something I'm really excited about for our future, is just continuing to create space for people, continuing to uplift underrepresented groups, and just make sure that, you know, we all have the opportunities that are like, we're all making sure that the opportunities that we want are made available to us, and that those are options to be able to pursue.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a big thing here. It's like we don't want to keep all this good stuff, good knowledge to ourselves. We want to make sure that everybody feels and, you know, feels like you're creative. You can do it too. And, you know, come join
Yeah.
us. Come join us in this fun adventure.
Connect, connect, connect.
Yeah.
So from our interview, what
Hmm.
was some, and I know I know a lot of these things because even for me, I've talked to my parents a lot about just their cultural backgrounds and kind of like listening to their stories. But was there anything that particularly surprised you or gave you a new perspective on their background and maybe how that has influenced you?
Yeah. And like these are things that you just like kind of grow up knowing, but like having that discussion with my parents was really special because I mean my dad can go on forever, but
Hey, our parents love to talk.
yeah, but it's it's just like a nice time for them even to like reflect back on their culture and like some of the questions that we ask is like how has your culture impacted you and you know for different people it means different things but for I think typically for both my mom and dad they really identify with their like um nationality as their culture, right? Like so my mom's really um well she is mixed so she identifies as Italian and with the Ethiopian culture because she's grew up with that um and I think what I found really interesting because my mom is definitely introverted, but she is one to cultivate community at the same time too. So I just something like we said is something that we've gotten from our mother's community, but it's really like that social aspect of really being able to bring people together. And I think the way she does it, and she said this in many different forms, but basically the idea is like food brings people together, and that's why she loves to like cook and like bring people together. But it's true. It's like you can really learn a lot about a person by just like having like sitting down and having a meal together, like not having the distraction of like your phone or anything, just having a good old talk and like you know you can really break
Little,
ice.
little sesh.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, but how about you? I think I know maybe not something surprising, but like anything that you talked about that kind of sparked up like some good insight from talking to the folks, parents.
Yeah, for sure. So I think with my parents, and this is something I've known about them a lot, I think
Mhm.
from their background, specifically with my mom, and I think with just Hispanic culture, um, yes, food is love.
Yes.
Food is the number one, but I think for specifically for Hispanic culture, and the relationship with like faith and with God, um, my mom kind of explained it that like it's very religious, and I think it's very much it's more of a reverence and like kind of like a respect that they have more than like a relationship that you have with God. And I think that's something um, that speaks a lot to identity and how you see yourself in the world and how you see value. That is very different for my mom. Like my mom doesn't get her value necessarily from how her culture sees her as a woman, as as like a person, but she really gets like that. Like I think just God culture and just having a relationship with God has been such like a important factor with my mom and also with my dad. Like, and that's just how I was raised,
Yeah.
and not just having customary practices like we pray, we love God, but really making sure that you have your own relationship with God. And I think there's been a lot of like, talk now in the world about, spirituality and making sure that you're like, peace with oneself and, to whomever you pray for, handle your business. But I think there's been a lot more emphasis on that relationship to self and relationship to spirit and relationship to God that I think is something that I'm seeing that's more prevalent now, and in today's time than was necessarily in theirs. Um, and I think another thing that really stood out for my mom is how invested she really was in like creative expression as a youth, as a young one. She really loved to dance. She always loved to cook. She really loved, she even liked singing and stuff like that. I don't think she ever um, made, like, she never really pursued that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is something that she considers now, like maybe pursuing some more of those things now in her life. But I think it was really important for my mom to have an outlet for expression, for self-expression, for creative expression, and creativity was that for her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you said that like that's something that she actually wanted to do, like be a professional dancer too, right?
Yeah, she
Did a
did.
lot.
She was actually, she'll always tell you she was in the movie Malcolm X. I think her school or her dance group or something were like background actors or something, or dancers in the film. And so, like, you might see, like, I don't
A
know, their sign
cameo.
or something. Yeah, I don't know. But I think that is
That's true.
something
That's
she
true
really
as
wants
well.
to pursue. And she
Oh,
did want to do that as like a young one. I think my dad, he was a little bit more like analytical, and I think that's kind of where I get that, like, that, I don't know which side of the brain it is, but like the
right.
analytical side, maybe.
Right.
I get that from my dad. He definitely is very, I think for him, how he sees creativity playing or influencing his life, and the role that culture plays in that is more so towards his interests rather than his like creative expression. Like, I think he loves to cook. He loves to cook specifically Jamaican food. He's really into music, and I think even fashion, a lot of that informs those choices. Um, but I don't know that he necessarily sees it as like an outlet.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. And I know even like it's also maybe the way they grew up too, right? I think your dad had like in the early years he lived in Jamaica, so probably like coming back here, he's like, oh well, if I'm gonna get some Jamaican food, I need to cook it too. Probably reminds
Yeah,
me
and
of home,
his
huh?
family always cooked too. Like, that was just always, I mean, honestly, with like mostly every culture, I always feel like it's better if you do it in the house, because
Mhm.
it's very rare that I find really good Caribbean food out and about. Like, it's normally in the house that I'm like, this is like perfection, chef's kiss. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
all I get to say about that one. We're very like, we feel a way about our food. We take it very personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
important.
So I know we have something here that can help transition to the next topic. So how, in terms of like your relationship with community, we talked about that a bit earlier. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how have you found community in your life personally?
Mm. Yeah, I think for me, it's a little funny, mostly because I move around a lot, so it might seem like, oh, it could be hard to make friends. And I've actually found it kind of easy to make to build community, to make friendships, to have relationships with people, and to kind of adapt to that new space. I think for me, it really has to do with putting myself out there, and leaning on the things that I'm interested in. I know school has always kind of been that thing for me, whether it's like particular classes and I'm really finding people I connect with, and just putting myself out there, like letting them know, like, hey, like, what's up? Like, we're going to be friends. I know that's kind of been a funny thing. When I moved to New Mexico specifically, and then when I moved to Germany, those are kind of like how I made my friends. Like, it was either I was like, we're going to be friends, or they were like, we're going to be friends. And we were just friends. Like, that's just how that happened, very off the bat. But a lot of the times, it's putting myself in spaces to have that community. So putting myself in spaces where it's like, I'm gonna be a part of my church. Like, I'm not only gonna go to my church, but I'm going to serve in my church. I'm gonna be on a team. Great way to meet community. I have other interests, like I like to dance. I might join like a dance class or something. Or another really big thing, like when I moved to New York, I joined this program, Scope of Work, which is like really like amazing company. or talent development agency that's really aimed towards young talent of color and developing them so that we can all just have like equity in the industry, and like all different kind of like creative fields. And so I was able to meet a lot of people through that. And then working, like I just happened to really like the work that I do. I work in production. I did a lot of like events production, and those are long hours. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta like the people you work with. Like you
Yeah.
build community that way. You have conversations with them. You end up finding out about new things, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm very thankful that community has
Yeah.
always just kind of come when it needed to
I'm next.
come.
Yeah.
And it was really easy for me to find. Like I'm very much, I can feel in my spirits if I have any business being around you. If I don't, then obviously I don't.
No,
I'm not around you. But yeah. How about you though?
awesome. Awesome.
Yes, Deja, so fam.
Of
Sorry, her little friend in the chat. That's my so fam.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I think that's important because you definitely put yourself out there. And so that's super important when it comes to like building community. I think for me, I will say I've had like different stages of my life. And so, like, growing up, I was definitely very shy, but I've always had like a really good group of friends. And so, like, those friends really like guided me. And, I loosened up after a while and like we're all good. But yeah, I think it was more so like people reaching out to me. And then I'm like, oh, okay, you like me, cool, we'll be friends. And I think that definitely completely changed going into college. And I think it was that piece of like, I made a conscious effort of like, okay, well, I really want to make an impact. I want to like get into, cause, cause I hit it with
That's
the
my
million.
cousin.
Million. Okay, I got it. Yes. But
Yeah.
yeah, like college really just got me out of my shell a bit and helped me like kind of build my confidence really, to be honest. And just I was a part of different like business organizations, and then got into like the creative scene in Richmond. Thank God for them because like I really didn't think I was a creative until college really, and so that like moved me into photography and then design now, and you know brought me in this new journey. So I think community like helps you even uncover things about yourself too, which is beautiful because thank
That's
God for
fact. I
people.
ever heard it, girl.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank God for you, Jazz. Like
Thank God
it's
for
so
you,
good.
friend. So I actually, very briefly, just because we kind of need to wrap up on time. But
Yeah.
man, I worked on this little project last year. It's called 21 Affirmations, where I just wrote like 21 affirmations for all of the people that I love in my life. And of course, like I love mad more people because I know a lot more people, but that was like they're specific to that time in my life. And man, Sarah, like you really encouraged me. I think just our friendship to invest in myself creatively, because I think like there's a lot of things that I like to do for other people, but I don't always like really think about how can I start investing more time in myself, and how can I start creating things for myself. Like I can do that. Like I don't have to just always work for somebody else. Like I can create things for myself to work on, and like you really encouraged me to do that, friend.
Yes, and that project turned out so good. And
Mm-hmm.
like the YouTube dialogue along with that, like that was amazing. You gotta bring it back. You gotta bring it.
I know I need to do
Seven more
something
people.
else.
It's a
Ah,
new season in life, so you got seven more people to add on.
I know,
You
but
know?
oh my gosh, this was really great. And we are going to continue the conversation on Clubhouse, just so you know. But just to kind of do a little quick wrap up and a little look at the season, this is our first Let's Unpack of the season. We have lots of things planned. Of course,
Yes,
we're going
we
to
do.
be here every Sunday.
Mhm.
We plan to have collaborations every Tuesday. We have a new one coming out Tuesday. Very excited for drop. Well,
Very.
promo coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
Project
So you'll
coming out
get to know
Tuesday.
who are the collaborators tomorrow.
Yes.
So put that
Um,
notification pin on, like just make sure you're notified and you can like see it because this one Like y'all, like you're not ready. You're not ready for it.
Gotta see what's going on. And then what's another thing? We got circle sessions. We have a circle
Coming
session coming up on in 2 weeks, Saturday,
2 weeks.
March 20th.
Yes. And these ones, you guys don't want to sleep on them because we're actually packing in multiple people. So it's going to be a longer form well, not discussion, but like you'll get to learn something new or, go
Yeah,
on.
there'll be like different workshops, so you can like make sure you join in and just hop
Yeah.
in, come visit us. And then
Yes.
what else we have going on? We have an industry panel coming up in April.
April, we're excited for that. That's going to be
Yes.
something new that we're doing this time around. And then in May, it's going to be our 1 year. So we got some stuff planned for that.
I
So,
know. Oh my gosh.
but
A whole year just to
a
connect
whole
with
year.
a nice
We'll have
event.
we'll have to unpack that too. I feel like
So much to discuss.
yes. So yeah, we're gonna continue on Clubhouse, 5 o'clock. So you got 5 minutes
Yeah.
to
I
get
mean,
all that out.
yeah, 5, give or take.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 minutes. We'll see. But thank you for joining us. Very excited to be along in this journey with you all.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. That's right. All right. Bye.
Bye.